Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Mario Kart Central Twitch channel. Welcome back to Mario Kart Universal Primetime, the final season of Mario Kart Universal. We are in Division 3 tonight as we are looking at Unlimited Breadsticks, otherwise known as United Brothers versus Xase. I'm Nathaniel. I'm joined by TopHatBear. Top Hat, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so looking forward to this. It's been a while since we've seen MKU action here on the MK Central Twitch channel, but we're back. It's the final season. It's a condensed format, but I'm glad it's finally started and I can't wait to get into this match.
Yeah, for sure. Looking to be very, very different match, just from a sense of track picks. We were speaking about this just before the stream started. You, what is it? United Bros, how I'm gonna refer to them as, is have had interesting series in or interesting history in their track picks. But Zayce, obviously being the first Japanese team we've seen in a while, sign up for MKU, we can only imagine um how um different their tracks are going to be just because the Jap from lounge the Japanese track culture is definitely very different from the Western, so it's going to be a clash of two different worlds, which is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. I know a lot of these tracks, us Americans, Europeans, we hate playing on in lounge when we see the Excite bikes, the Mario Kart stadiums, the DK summits, but it's very possible we're going to see these in the match today. No one knows anything about Xase. They've not participated in MKU in a very, very long time. We've not had a Japanese team participating in MKU in a very, very long time as well. So no one knows what to expect from them today. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have, seeing what they can bring to D3 and MKU this season.
Yeah. So let's go through lineups. Starting with the UB lineup, we have Smiley, we have Barton, who I'm most likely going to refer to as HSB, we have Julian, we have Elmer, we have Hazza, and we have Technical. We're going to be looking at Elmer's POV tonight. Very strong lineup from UB. Defo a strong core of their players. Hazza up at 1 a.m. representing the British crew. Shout out Hazza. But yeah, definitely just a very strong lineup for them. A good balance of running talent and bagging talent. So very excited to see uh, how how they play, what comes out of them tonight, and how close this match is going to be.
And on the other side of the field, we have Zayce, and forgive me if I mess up some of these pronunciations, but we have their leader, Shu, playing. He's the one who got them into MKU. He's the reason they signed up for the final season. So it's so awesome. Welcome, Shu. We've got I believe it's pronounced. We will be watching the point of view of toaru. We have Mame, we have Mori, and we have Himazin rounding out the roster. I'm unsure the play style of these guys as of yet, but I'm sure we will figure out how they're playing right as we get into the match.
Yeah, definitely. We do see 12 in room, I believe. I think that is Hazza who just joined. So this match will get underway in a little bit. So we don't know the spots of the teams either. So I believe um, UB is hosting from what I seen in uh, the div chat. So it should be one of their runners to open up the show. How much of the front presence they have though um, will will be shown just from the track selection. So
Yeah, we will indeed. I'm anticipating the good old Excitebike, good old MKS coming out race one from Zace as they look to turn the cards around. But as you said, UB are looking very, very strong. They have some of the fastest players in the game. You know, players such as Tactical, who has world record on it feels like almost all the tracks at some point. He's someone to watch out before. If he gets away, it's going to be very, very hard to catch him as we get into the track selection for the very first match of MKU, the final season.
yeah, gonna be interesting to see because I think we both know UB pretty well, more from their resets, as we know the likes of 8, Rainbow Road 8. We know Rock Mountain is also in their repertoire, so it's going to be interesting to see what they try and use for running as they open up with TikTok Clock. It looks to be top 3 from them by the looks of things. Xase track picks a little bit all over the place. 2 Sky High Sundays, 2 Mushroom Gorges, an Excitebike Arena, as you just said, and also Dolphin Shoals. So maybe just picking track 3 to see what they can get their footing on. Probably the entire teams, both, well, everyone in the team is comfortable with all the tracks they've picked. And we're going to be starting with Excitebike Arena.
We do indeed. Every single one of these players in the lobby will know this track well if they've played any sort of competitive Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in the slightest. This track is very, very common in Lounge, and in my opinion, it's the most technical track in the game. Doing the ramps perfectly correctly is so hard to do. So let's see the D3 players, some of the best players we have in the game. Let's see how they tackle this amazing track.
Does look to be all green Yoshis and a light blue from and a black Yoshi as well, of course, HSB. From the United Brothers point of view, widespread color from the Xase lineup, as we do see Elmer a little bit in the back right now. Pack is very close at the moment. Shock can probably be pulled right around now, but maybe Elmer decides to run. He's not particularly in a position to pull the shock, but he does have a dodge, meaning he can just run this up if he wants to and see if any of his other teammates can pull the shock.
That is a very, very fortunate pull from Elmer right there. He took the box in 8th place, but he managed to take a start, and it looks like UB have pulled a lap 1 shock and opt to use it very, very early before the Xase players can pull dodges and get into them. We see Elmer and HSB both dodging, and now are sitting in top 2 with a little bit of a breakaway above the Xase players. However, there are still 3 more shortcuts before we finish this race, and those are a great opportunity for the Xase players to catch up. So let's see if these 2 players for UB can hold their lead, or will the Xase players catch up as we head into lap 3 of the cycle.
Interesting shroom usage from HSB. I don't know whether he has another one in. No, he doesn't. So banking on the blue shell not being pulled. As UB do run in top 2, everybody in the pack now going to be able to take these cuts, but it might just be enough. That early shot might have just been enough for UB to get started, as the top 2 is just fully broken away from the pack, as we do see Smiley in 3rd. It's currently UB top 3.
Indeed, and the top 2 players both have red shells. If a Xase member tries to shoot ahead of them, they're going to probably taken out. However, we see none of them daring to do so. We see a top 2, and it looks like Xase is in 3 currently for United Bros. This is the dream start for their MKU season, with a top 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 to start off the season.
Bottom 4 from Xase as well. Definitely of an unfortunate series of events. Of course, the shock being so early, them not being able to pull another one to try and swing the momentum. UB was just kind of able to take the front spots early and go from there. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Xase try and coordinate with a track pick, or whether they go with the same strategy of just everyone picking just tracks they know they're comfortable with, they know they can reset with, and try and gain back some momentum.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what UB picks as well to try and press their advantage. It's easy to get a good lead in Mario Kart, but it's so hard to hold it with players trying everything they can do to take back positions. You're never safe until you hit the magic number of 40 points times the amount of races left. So let's see, as we're watching Toaru now, we see him about to pick Mushroom Gorge, and it seems like a more synchronized pick from the Xase players with 4 Mushroom Gorges on the field, another Sky High Sunday, and a Trainbow. It seems like our friend on Xase loves Sky High Sunday. I kind of want to see it at some point because we rarely ever see it. However, we do go to Hyrule, which is the UB pick, the most known track in the game for top 2. It's like the default. If you're top 2, you go Hyrule Circuit. So let's see what UB can do.
I mean, very obvious pick for top 2, or at least feels obvious for top 2. Both top 2 start with 0 coins. So one player is able to take the coins on the left, one is able to take, or well, the rupees actually on the right. Someone's gonna get mad at me in chat for that, but yeah, just able to get 2 rupees, grab the first set, and pray that your teammates are able to shroom up as well, as we do see the pack very congested. unfortunate red as toaru now has to stay in the back. Last place, but we do see Elmer uh, getting bumped around left, right, and center. Xase player with the ring managing to connect. Does look a bit hectic at the moment. I think most of UB is now switched to light blue, so that should be a little bit easier to try and read. But we do see a lot of the Xase players in the back already going for the shark.
Yes, and it looks like HSB in his signature Black Yoshi is in the lead with a lot of UB players around him in support. It seems like a blue Yoshi has taken over the lead. That'll be one of his teammates. And we see the Xase players stopping for shock, but Elmer is in the back with them. This is a chain, but pulls blue. His teammate is in first, so he will be holding this as we switch to Toaru's point of view. Toaru has a ghost. This is a nice ghost to have. He goes in early so he can chain into set. They have triple odds at the moment, but Julian is stopping to prevent the Xase players from having extra chances at Shock. But right now, it's looking like Shock's the only thing that can turn Xase's race around here.
Pretty much, yeah, and also Julian going to the back as well because Elmer's kind of forced to hold blue for the rest of the race if his teammates are top two and not able to pull any defense for the blue shell. So Julian dropping back there, very smart decision just to make sure that they can counter with a shot if Xase do manage to pull one.
Toaru seems to be driving through set. He's not stopping anymore. So it is possible that Xase already have the shock or that they've thrown in the towel. They're just trying to salvage this race. However, we see Toaru getting hit off the glider. If they do have the shock, it needs to come now. They've missed the best opportunity to shock, and top two are so far ahead. It looks like they're just going to cross the line before anything can happen. We see Toaru coming to Bill. If they have shock, it happens now. However, it does look like shock is unlikely. UB are so far ahead in top two, and the Xase player gets blued in third.
Beautiful coordination, managing to throw the blue when top two is past the line, so that way if the Xase player can get blued, that's top four for UB. Another very strong race for them. The bottom spots do hinder things a little bit. However, you still take a plus 20 race from that, with UB now being up 44 points.
That is such a big lead with just 2 races done. UB are in a fantastic position right now. It's hard when you're down like this after 2 for Xase, especially in their first season in MKU. I believe they participate in Summit Leagues, so they're used to playing 6v6, but I wonder what their plan is right now to get back into the match.
It looks to be either Mushroom Gorge, Trainbow, or Sky High Sunday. Very interesting pick, Sky High Sunday. I think more predominantly seen as a runner, but can be used to draft up on, and is good for if you start in the back because of your coin advantage compared to the players at the start. But you be just chaining runner after runner, Hyrule straight into Music Park. Very strong track, as a lot of the UB players do play, well, some of them at least do play on either Mr. Scooty or the Biddy Buggy, which does hold an advantage on this track, just for the fact that being able to charge these MTs quicker with all the tight turns on this track is a nice advantage to have, just impact play and in front running on this track.
Indeed, especially coming up to this super bounce in just one corner, charging the mini turbo on Teddy. It's doable. It's sometimes a bit difficult, but on Biddy, you just get it for free. You just show up, you look at it, you get the mini turbo, and there's nothing more to do it. As we see UB off to a decent start, however, it does look like a Xase player has taken the lead as UB are trying to figure out a way to get back into the race. We see the Xase player pulling fire and taking out Julian. UB are now 2, 3, 4. Never mind, Xase is on red Yoshi. UB maintain their top 4 lead with Elmer having a shroom in second. This is looking very, very good for UB right now.
Yeah, just a lot of the Xase players in the back at the moment. Toaru just a little bit more in the mid pack, probably holding a dodge of some sort. You'd like to think, no, just in 6th place. It did look a bit scrappy towards the end of lap 1, so probably not able to hold onto their items. Does pull a star though, and that is a shock, which looks to be sort of a neutral one. Hard to say. Julian comes up, so might have been a UB
shocking
shock.
their players on glider. Julian was the only dodge, which was a great shock from UB. You have to think they pulled that against the odds. However, that sometimes happens in this game, and it looks like they're in a fantastic position. However, the yellow Yoshi did dodge and is very high up. So, Xase might have had a player dodge in Ghost, with UB not knowing. However, Julian has Bill in 6th. He's saving it because if he Bills now, he's going to be in 1st. He Bills right here. It won't end early. He'll get the rest of the extension before his build lets him off as the yellow she gets hit off and toaru falls off the track. This is looking like another really, really strong race for UB as we head into the final few corners.
Yeah, Xase not being, if they did pull a shock, probably not being able to capitalize as well, just for the fact that Julian was in build. But that was a very strong shock from UB. Does look to be a little bit of a scrappy ending, but they do hold on to what looks to be a top 3 from the minimap. 7, 8, 11 was around a top 4 towards the end of the race. However, probably Xase pulling some power items in the pack to hold some of them back, which is definitely nice. But UB just extending their leads by very big amounts. Pretty much every race has been within the 20-point threshold, that race being a plus 18 for UB.
It's great to see Xase pulling it back just a little bit at the end. It was looking like a potential top 6 for UB right there, and every point does count. They may be off to a slow start, but things can swip in the flip of a switch. You know, we can just see them coming back. We could see them starting to pull the shocks, them getting some high value shocks. So even if it feels like it's over, them getting those, you know, extra plus 10 points that they might have lost is looking really, really good for them, and they just need to build on that momentum now as we head into race 4, the final one of the first GP.
Yeah, interesting. You gotta wonder how Xase is taking this match. UB just with the shock presence alongside the front presence as well. 2 shocks pulled from UB, none pulled from Xase so far. As we go into another runner, TikTok clock, another a track that I find very personally that if the front spots are gone, they're gone. Trying to pull shock on this track is very, very hard. So if it ends up being Xase in the bottoms, again, they're really going to want to capitalize on trying to pull a shock, trying to just stop UB's momentum, because at the moment it just looks UB's going to full send this war, and the war ends up being an absolute domination.
Yeah, and TikTok clock, like you said, it's a track where if you drive it correctly in one, you don't really lose one, you know, not counting a blue or a shock or something. But it looks like the UB player in one has gotten away strongly. Xase is in second, protecting his teammate. And it does look like Xase are 3-4 and could cause some mayhem right here as we head into the cut. However, Xase is trailing. Let's hope that Elmer is making it through the cut just fine. And it looked like a very, very strong position for UB as they are top 3 right now, with Xase holding a horn in 2. And that horn is protected by the red shell of Elmer as we head into lap 2.
Yeah, for sure. Hazard just going to be able to hold this horn now, just in case Julian doesn't have any blue shell defenses. We do see top 3 just gone. Looking at Toaru's POV, it's a lot of them in the mid pack, a couple of them trying to go for shock in the back, as we do see Toaru holding a ghost. He's probably just in a very good position at the moment. No need to use this until your team pulls shock, as you're probably just going to be able to dodge and try and get first. However, Xase pulling triple reds, not too effective, as unfortunately they do end up killing what looks to be a couple of their teammates, but Elmer looking to be dealt with, as it's now only Julian and Xase in the top 2, as Xase are 3-4-5.
The other good thing with this ghost is that it increases shock chances. You know, with Toaru holding the ghost right now, his teammates in 11, 12 can't pull it, so they have a greater chance for shock. However, if shock is in play, it comes now as we see Toaru popping his dodge, but it seems like Xase are unable to push. Never mind, I stand corrected. We see a shock pull. We see Toaru dodging in 3. The UB players get hit after set. We see Julian getting blued, Xase getting redded, and this looks to be like a first place for Toaru as Xase find their way back into the match.
This is absolutely what Xase needed. They needed that shock pull, managing to get their members into set, managing to shock blue UB as well. UB recovering well with the 2-3-4, but the 1-5-6 from Xase, definitely something that will hopefully get the momentum started this match. It's still a winning race for UB by 4 points. However, first place now from Xase should get them up on their feet a little bit to try and get some sort of momentum into this match, some sort of front-running presence, and maybe a winning race to start off. Almost go into the end of the first half of the wall.
Yeah, it's a first place, and it's a first place that can be turned into many more first places if they get lucky and play their cards right. And we see Xase picking their first time they've picked a unified track pick. We see Mount Wario one of the best 1-0 tracks in the game. If first place gets a coin at the first box, they get the 3 coins in the ground, and the next coin after that, they've got 6 coins. Second place has 0 coins, and second place just can't keep up. You could have the best player in the world in second, and they're still not keeping up with first if we see Mount Wario, which we do not. We see Waluigi Pinball, a track known for being a signature American track. Very unlikely Xase has much experience on it, so I think UB are attempting to trip them up. This track is a fantastic anti-1, as 2 through 5 can draft up and potentially beat the lap 1 pinball.
Also, a track you just don't get seen relatively often. It tends to be more of a niche pick within just any sort of teams. I know UB have been experimenting with this one for a while, to the dismay of some of their members, but it looks to be working very well immediately, as we do see Technical and Hazard just bump their way into top 2, looking to outrun the pinball as well. So definitely the strong start that UB were looking for in this race.
However, we do see the yellow Yoshi of the Xase member up there in second. We see the Xase member in third as well, but Hazard pulls fire, manages to take out 1. He's gunning for a second, and it looks like he got his mark, and it's looking like a UB top 3 right now. They've executed perfectly. However, toaru launches the green shell, but ends up running into the pinball. That is the danger on this track. Get surprised by the pinball at any time, as it looks like Technical is running away in 1 with a decent break already.
Looks to be a couple UB members in the back with toaru as well. Probably just it's keeping Julian and Elmer back there, just so that way the shock odds for Xase aren't too high. toaru, the only player on the Xase team roster that can pull it at the moment from the looks of things, as UB do hold 8, 9, 10. There might be another Xase member back there that we're not too sure of, but Elmer with a powerful pull of just Bill in hand, star and another star in the pocket as well. Able to just chain dodges if they feel like Xase has the shock, delaying their usage of it, but Technical just first and gone, so if shock is very likely to happen.
Indeed, we do see the Xase players going into dodge. We see a couple of the UB players in dodge as well. If either team has shock, they're not biting right now. However, all players are out of dodge. If shock is in hand, it comes now, as we see Elmer billing up. Doesn't seem to be in play. However, Xase is bearing down on Technical. If they get a lucky triple red pull in second, it could be the end of his race. However, it does seem like the Ghost has triple reds as of right now. All the players are in dodge, everyone's biting, and it still looks to be a big UB advantage. However, that looks like the white Yoshi is in 1, if I'm reading the minimap correctly. This is big for Xase. However, there are a lot of UB players right behind him, so let's see what happens as we head into the final few corners of this race.
Elmer, the string going down. That's so unfortunate. It looked like Elmer was about to get hit by the pinball, but probably manages to execute the dodge on it perfectly. We do see toaru managed to slip up, but slip through the back of the pack, but only passing one of his teammates. But Xase able to make this track work, despite Tech having a very phenomenal front presence. They do manage to get a top 2. A neutral race for both the teams. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 for UB. So a lot of mid spots that they can work with to try and maybe shroom up on. But Xase now forming some sort of front presence, being able to take out UB, as we do see Wario Stadium, probably one of, if not the most polarizing tracks in the game, just for how strong it is for front running.
Indeed. I mean, I still am laughing at the fact that the pinball killed Elmer's internet. Like, I didn't know. I knew the pinballs were good. I didn't know you got to watch out for them that much. And it does seem to have hurt UB just a little bit, as this is the first even race this war, the first race that UB hasn't won. However, this looks to be a really, really good position for Xase to be in, especially if they get their track pick. The coin advantage on R-dubs is just so strong at the start. And we do see R-dubs, our friend who's been picking Sky High Sunday, doesn't pick Sky High Sunday, and he gets his track pick. I really want to see Sky High Sunday at some point this war. However, we go to R-dubs. The Xase players are starting 1-2. Let's see if they can carry this advantage and get a gaming race for the first time in this war.
Definitely going to be an interesting one, just from the pack perspective as well. UB will do their best to try and kill out as many Xase players as they can. They do manage to get the kill on 1, sending that dude what looked like to be from second place all the way down to last. But these first few sets are going to be very crucial, because pretty much after these sets, it's just going to be a case of whether the players in the front are going to be able to run away with it. Elmer getting some unfortunate bumps, not being able to run, and it looks to be a couple of UB members in the back. Hazard in last. Julian just ahead of Elmer, so. But the pack is still very, very tight.
This is a very close pack cover. It does look to be a Xase top 2 as we head into the second lap. The lap 1 cut has happened. It's very, very hard to make up spots right now, especially as we see Elmer shreeing up into his teammate with triples. That is not the play I would be making right there. However, Xase only seem to be 1-4 right now. Tech and the other UB player in 2 can start chaining out the Xase player in 1 as Elmer goes for the banana snipe. He misses and is now left defenseless with the Xase player in front of him getting hit out of nowhere. I'm not sure what hit him. However, this is now looking to be very even footing. It looks like the Xase player gets hit, but it is just lag. We see Elmer shrooming up with a red in hands. Can they cycle out Shu right here in 1?
It's going to be tough considering how red shells work in this game. They do start a little bit behind you once you throw them, so he's going to have to make sure they have space, but it doesn't even matter. Shu runs into a banana, and now Elmer's in first in a beautiful position with the horn in pocket, meaning if there is a blue shell from Xase, or even UB, they don't even have to hold it anymore. Elmer just looks to be gone in first. He tries to go for the back, but has the defense to ensure that he just doesn't get killed. Unfortunately, they're getting ghosted, so Xase might be able to make a move and steal first. Unless the UB member in 3 is able to do something, which I think they managed, Xase, or the Xase members managed to deal with. It looks to be first for UB, but a lot of Xase behind Elmer.
Indeed, looks to be another close race as we see, I think, slight win for UB with the 1-4-5-7. But that was very, very unfortunate at the start of lap 3. Shu in the blooper couldn't see the banana on the ground, and he ended up hitting it. And Elmer got first. He didn't even have to use his red shell. He didn't even have to use his horn. He didn't even need his horn. You know, I hope the ghost that took it enjoyed the horn. But now we will be seeing what Elmer picks in 1. It's looking like 3DS Rainbow Road as we head into the second half of the war.
Yeah, UB just dominant on all fronts at the moment. Very strong start, and despite the fact that they've not been getting as huge of winning races, they've been enough just to keep them up. 72 points is the differential between UB and Xase at the moment. So Xase is gonna have to put in a good bit of work to try and get the comeback. Maybe the shock lock can swing around and fall onto their lap instead, as UB's been the only one to pull the shocks at the moment, at least from the look of things. So
it seems that way indeed. If we see this Rainbow Road 7 track pick, I don't think we're going to see Xase pulling a shock for the 7th race in a row. Of course, I could be corrected. However, after lap 1 on this track, I believe there's 2, maybe 3 item boxes. So it is so hard to pull shock on this track. I think this is the best track in the game to be won on after lap 1 because it's impossible to lose. So
also
we're going to go ahead.
for the fact it's a section track as well. This track, unlike others, you don't drive it in laps, you drive it in sections, so there's not really too many places to stop for boxes consistently, as a lot of them do tend to be in either trickable areas or hard to reach places, so if you're trying to bag this track, it's very, very hard to do so.
It is indeed, which is why it is so important to try and get into first right at the end of lap 1 after the laggy spiral, which Elmer seems to be in. We see the Xase players in 2-3 behind him. They could be able to cycle him out. However, he does pull double defense in 1. That is another stroke of luck for UB. But does Xase have another red behind him as we are pretty much halfway through the race already?
There's looked to be a good few players from Xase in the bottom. Hazo just looking to probably keep an eye on them, as shock can be likely, blue could also be likely, so having that knowledge of Xase pulling shock, Elmer might be able to adapt. However, we do see the blue come out. Elmer might be able to snipe himself. He is trying to, barely misses the Nana though, and loses just way too much time from bumping into the wall. However, just due to how far ahead he was, it's only his teammates that are catching up to him.
Yeah, it looks like his teammates had a masterclass behind him. Xase were 2-3 last time he looked back, but now it seems to be a UB top 3 for the moment. We see the players on UB skipping glider. They most certainly do not have shock. I don't think Xase have shock either. and it's looking like another UB very, very strong race as we head into the final two corners. UB are top 4 at the moment. This is so hard for Xase to make something happen here. Blue is coming, but it's just too late. It was pulled off cooldown, and UB come across the line in top 4, potentially more at the end of Rainbow Road 7. Top
That's a top
6
6.
for UB. They picked the track. They did so well on it.
No, they absolutely did well on it. The pack was way too congested and way too tight for Xase to even try and think about pulling the shark. UB just putting in work, looked to be putting in work within the mid pack. Not much Xase could have done, as Xase, as much as they still have 5 races left, practically need a miracle now, as this has just been UB's war to lose.
It is indeed. UB are showing that they have the running skill, they have the bagging skill, they have everything that's needed. And I don't know if it's too early to say this. I think they're absolutely in the fight for the D3 title this season. This is the showing you want in your first match. Getting a top 6, being up by 112 after 7 races. If I'm a D3 team, I'm like, how do we beat UB? I'm going to the drawing board. I'm checking everything we got, because they're playing another match tonight too, and they could start off their season 2-0, and that's just a dream start for them.
Well, UB were in D3 last season, and I believe they were only able to make the quarterfinals, so definitely wanting vengeance to at least try and go all the way this time in Division 3. So, as we do see another runner from them, Paris Promenade. Interesting choice. I know this track is very common in 200cc, where the likes of Julian, Technical, has and Elmer, they're very confident on that track in 200. However, plays a little bit different on 150. So maybe trying to get the track to work in this game mode, as they do start top 6, trying to draft off each other. Elmer might pull off some crazy shenanigans with a slow trail.
He does indeed. He gets toaru at the start. This track on 150 is a bit of a drafter, as we see some of the Xase players making their way up the field. You don't need a shroom at the start if you can just get a boost by following the player behind you. And it looks to be Xase in 2 potentially right now. Yes, it looks to be Xase in 2, 3, 4. As you see Elmer going for an early shock. UB has been so good at pulling shocks when they need it. Let's see if they can pull it off again. However, Elmer gets Bullet Bill Golden. He will not be able to stop at a set anytime soon, and he opts to bill soon, right now, so he can chain at the upcoming set.
Well, it seems to be a lot of Xase players in the back. Elmer the only one back here. Both are POVs in the bottom 4 spots, so one of them might be able to pull shock. However, it does seem to be a lot of Xase in the back at the moment, and it can be quite tough to pull shock on this track, but even still, it's almost as tough to catch up, just because of the lack of shortcuts. There's only really one across the entire track, which is the little piranha plant cutout that we see at the very start of the track. We do see a shark. Not sure who it's from, but UB getting blue, you'd think it's a Xase shark.
You would, but quite a few UB players dodged as well. It might have been UB just ripping it when they had it. Maybe both players had a shock in hand. I'm not quite sure. However, this is bunched up the pack quite a bit. toaru is getting very close to his teammate in his star, but luckily no incident has happened. However, it does seem to be Xase top 3 at the moment, with the rest of their players in the mid pack. As we head to the end, we see the UB player forcing Julian into his star. That is a fantastic play from toaru, but he misses the double as we head to the one shortcut you were talking about on this track. Xase are still holding the top 3 position. If they can finish with some other high spots, this will leave them with still a fighting chance to play in this match. As we see toaru cross the line in 12, but this looks like a fantastic race for Xase as they get a top 3, 7, 8, 12. I believe this is the first gaining race for the Xase side this war.
The differential does come back down to under 196 at the moment. Xase definitely needing that race. It's now just a case of whether or not they're able to keep this constant momentum going, because yes, a winning race is fine, but they're going to need a streak of constant winning races and big winning races at that if they do want to turn the tide and try and win this match. As we do go into the final 4 races, they don't even have to push for any great races. They just have to play for either small losses or or neutral races, small wins. They don't need nothing impressive. They just need to keep the differential up and keep themselves in a comfortable position to win the match.
Absolutely. I think the only thing that can ruin their war right now is 4 big shock plays in a row. They need to average, Xase needs to average plus 24 for the next 4 races if they want to win this match or even tie this match. So if UB want to stop that, they just need to make sure they have 2 in the back. They need to always be cycling dodges. They need to just call their shocks quick. They don't need to go for good shocks. They just need to go for shocks that are not good for Xase. And if they can do that, their path to this match is clear and obvious as we head on to Animal Crossing. Believe that's the summer version that has been selected, which is one of my
It is
favorite
summer,
versions
yes.
on this track.
It's the TT version, so a lot of players are definitely familiar with it, so it does help with this track. And unfortunately for Xase, they wasn't able to point it out, but they did have a DC and they have a CPU playing this race, so they're going to need a lot to come back into this. As 5v6s, when you're trying to make a comeback in a war, are definitely way harder with the CPU because the CPU can pull shock, throw a wrench in the plans if it comes to needing a shock, trying to get a big race, but looks to just be UB in top 2 at the moment. The Mario CPU's in third. Wait, Mario CPU's in third. Let him cook.
Oh my. So you see Elmer making a slight line fail, leading toaru into first place. The Mario CPU has a red, but Elmer takes him out. Elmer not playing for the fans right now, as Mario is lagging. I didn't know CPUs could lag on the minimap like that. With Elmer going
I
towards
didn't.
Nana Snipes.
I
This
didn't even know either. CPUs have netcode now, apparently.
UB could win the war this race if they get a good enough race here with 3 to go. If they can get a 120 point lead, which would require a plus, I don't know, about 34 plus 36 if they want to win the war right here. It's unlikely, but it could happen. You never know.
Yeah, Xase was holding down the front for a while. They were holding the blue. Julian looking to take it. Xase able to pull back into first. However, it does look to be a lot of UB behind them at the moment, so Xase's efforts could fall flat. The first isn't going to be enough for them to at least try and like save this race from any grasps, as it looks to be a lot of Xase in the bottom. That might just be the dagger. That might not be the finisher. Um, Xase probably still mathematically in it, but that might just be the dagger that UB needed to solidify this win, as they're now up 116 points.
They are indeed. This is so hard to come back from. If Xase wants to win this, they need to play perfectly. They need perfect luck. There can't be any mistakes. They need what UB had on RR7 3 times in a row. So it's a tough task. It's a very tough asking, as we see the players all picking their favorite tracks on the side of Xase. They're each thinking, this is the track we can do it on. This is the track we can pull something magic off on. Maybe we'll finally see Sky High Sunday this war. Our friend is back
Imagine,
to picking it.
imagine Sky High Sunday as the miracle cure for Xase, and they just go on an insane hot streak because of it.
You know, I
It could
want to
be.
see that happen. Here we go.
Oh, ain't no way we've spoken this into existence. Ain't no way. Zay's player is back in the room, so it now is back to an even 6v6. This track is interesting. UB do hold some top spots, which this track is very good for the running positions. If you're able just to pull 2 coins in first, the enemy not able to do much just because of how congested the pack is with red shells. First place can get gone, however the bottom spots do hold a coin advantage, which is very good on this track. There's not too many coins to go for, and if you are going for extra coins, they are a bit out of the way and on the wider lines, so... Xase making it work, though. They look to be top 2, top 3 at the moment.
Yes, this is the dream start for Xase. I mean, they gotta watch out for shock. They really do. But when you're in a position like this, you might just have to run 6, and you might just have to hope the opponents don't pull shock. As we see Elmer and UB doing just that. Elmer has pulled the shock. This might be the end of the road for Xase in this match. they don't even need to use it quickly, but they do use it quickly. Technical ends up dodging. The UB players all get shocked on the glider, so they keep their momentum. This looks bad. We see a UB player right up there. I mean, Xase still have a lot of tops, but UB have all the items. Xase were shocked right after the set, so they're going to need to play some perfect Mario Kart if they want to keep this top 6 alive.
You'd wonder why they used the shock early as well. You could have assumed Technical maybe had another shock, but no, it just seems to be the one from UB. Zay's still holding down a lot of the front presence. Tracks like these are very hard. Despite pulling shock, they are very hard to try and catch up on, even with the shock, just due to the fact that they have no shortcuts at all. So Elmer just looks to be in last for this entire race. Probably not going to be able to do much. He's too close to the back.
Xase is in 1 right now. You see the red Yoshi taking first on right there. As we see a little bit of stream delay going on. We see Xase players getting hit left, right, and center. We see toaru getting hit back to 11. If only toaru finishes 12th and all of his teammates get top 5, it will still be a loss for Xase. They need perfection, and right now they do not have it. We need to see a bullet bill pull right here, right now from toaru. Doesn't pull. This looks like the end of the road. It's a fantastic race from Xase. If only they picked Sky High Sunday from the start, but it is not enough, and that is UB winning the first match of MKU, the final season.
The slow horn play, I gotta commend him for, but absolutely risky, and trying to kill a lot of the UB members ends up backfiring for toaru, as it's a winning race for Xase, but too little, way too late. UB up 106 with 2 races left. It is mathematically impossible now for UB to lose, unless they decide to be funny and go with repicks, put on a show for the people. Who knows? Who knows what UB is thinking right now?
I don't think UB are going to do that.
No,
I think
playing
some teams definitely will. I think UB is not that team. They're going to hold their lead. They're picking RR8, like you mentioned in the pre-show, one of their mid-spot tracks that they love. Xase does not want to play RR8 and is picking B-dubs. However, we're going to DK Jungle. It seems like Xase are just playing to keep the point differential low. It is unlikely that it will matter later on in the season unless UB and Xase end up in a 3-way tiebreaker situation with another team. However, it's better be safe than sorry. There's still 2 races left to be played, and you want to give it your best as we head into race 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Shadow has a picking B-dubs. It's his absolute favorite track from talking to him and being on the 200cc United Kingdom team with. He loves the track to death, so he's probably just going to pick that for the rest of the war, be a little bit rogue, whereas the rest of UB will probably pick coordinated together. Xase, toaru doing a nice little bit of smart steering strats to make sure he doesn't fall off. He stays in the mid pack for it, and has a red shell, but missing that dash panel, falling off the track now, and just ending up in the back.
That is unfortunate, however, his teammates do seem to have a great start, being top 3 at the moment as toaru elects to continue to run. He's not stopping. Xase has figured out that shock has not really worked for them this war and are just ignoring it in this race. You see Elmer with some great lines, driving really, really well, trying to disrupt the Xase players. It is now only a Xase top 3. Elmer avoids the back and is shrooming up now into 2nd place. He has another shroom, but he is caught up in a bush. But the smart steering saves him and he manages to stay on the track. That does give Xase a strong top 3 breakaway at the front right now as we head into the final part of lap 2.
I was gonna say, thought Elmer was gonna rage quit the room for a second accidentally from the smart steering strat, but is able to stay in as Xase just hold a dominant top 3. This will be enough for them to at least maybe get some point differential, as it does look to be a lot of UB in the mid pack at the moment. Technical doesn't present anything that could threaten the Xase top 3. No sign of triple reds, no sign of any power items, just only speed items to try and help him to catch up. But this is, he holds a star at the moment. Maybe if he gets in it, can coordinate with Elmer to try and throw the triple reds, as reds do skip players in invincibility items.
Yes, we do see the Xase player getting hit as we head into the final set. Elmer manages to get triple greens. He could make another strong play with the greens. However, the Xase player has greens, but Technical pulls a ring And the shock comes. I think that might have been Xase's first shock of the war, as a lot of their players dodge. The UB players get target shocked off the map, and I believe that's a bottom. No, just 10-12 for UB, but Xase get top 2, 4, 5. Another very, very strong race for them. They're showing that they can play. They're showing that they can compete in this div. And while it might not matter this match, it is great for their mentality going into the rest of the matches in D3. I'm unsure if they have other matches tonight, but if they do, this is the sort of end of a match you want if you're going into another match.
The thing with Xase's War, they've definitely proven that they can stay capable and within this entire war. I just think their luck came in a bit too late for them. They're pulling the shocks now. They're able to hold the front presence. They're able to prove that they can hold things down, but it's way too late for them. UB can kind of be fine with just taking their foot off the gas a little bit as Zace try and do their absolute best to try and bring this point differential down, but Zace players probably frustrated with the fact that all their luck is coming in now where it doesn't even really matter, as the match has been mathematically over for a little bit.
It seems like Xase play BDD after this, and UB will be playing V2 after this as well. So both teams have another match today. So, I mean, UB going to the next match, they're going to be thinking, we won our first match by a sizable margin with 3 races still to go. Xase, on the other hand, or 2 races left to go, let me correct myself. Xase, they're thinking, we didn't have the luck at the start of the war, but we showed we can compete. They're hopefully going to have a good mental going into their next match against BDD, which is going to be another very, very tough match in D3. BDD were the runners up in D3 last season and are looking to maybe get their first division win. However, let's get back to this race. We see the RR8 pick finally. We see the Xase players starting off well, but with the double cannon set on this track, anything can happen. No position is safe.
Now, with this game's item system being distance based rather than position based, shocks are very more likely on tracks with item sets that are just before cannon. So tracks like DK Mountain, tracks like this, tracks like DK Summit. You do see a lot of shocks on. Just realized Donkey Kong has a lot of real estate which you can pull shocks on. Good for him, I suppose. As we do see UB just in the early top 2 at the moment. How much of that is going to be held, we don't know, as it looks to be a mixture of just everyone in the back at the moment trying to go for the shot because it's very powerful on the track with bill extensions with really good star spots. So
yeah, we head on to toaru's point of view right here. He is in 4th, but because of the cannon set, he can pull some fantastic items. Unfortunately for him, he does not pull a star, but his triple greens can be strong. He opts to throw them away. His teammate in front of him is going for the green snipes on Elmer, but manages not to pull them off. He goes for the double, but unfortunately he doesn't get it. His teammate gets redded in front of him, and Technical is just extending his lead in first as we head on to lap 3. Elmer hits the bat on toaru. I don't think Shock is in play right now, otherwise it would have been used yet, but I think it is very, very likely we see one pulled at the next cannon set. This cannon set, in my opinion, is the worst in the game, because it's the only one with a double that can be taken multiple times. Big Blue has a cannon set, which you can take once that has a double. The DK tracks, the Sweet Sweet Canyons, they have a cannon set, but you got to stop for singles there. However, this one, you get 3 chances at a double. However, I don't think Shock has been pulled. This might be the first ever RR8 race. Curse myself again. We see
just
Shock
spoken into
being pulled.
existence.
I think that was UB Shock. I think they were holding it on till the end, till Technical and Elmer got across the line safely. And I do believe it is, as they finish with a 1-3-5-7-8-9, confining Xase to the bottom 3. And this is a strong, strong showing in their first match of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see the red Yoshi on the minimap just not using anything. He was holding the blue, meaning Technical could just run the rest of the race. But very, very strong showing from UB. Definitely installs them with a lot of confidence. Final score 5-4-3 for Unlimited Breadsticks, 4-4-1 for Xase, as the first match does get is wrapped up and done with.
Aw,
Alma,
thank you,
Alma,
Elmer.
Alma being a good sport. Oh, and the heart as well. He's cute. He's cute. Shout out Alma.
Yes, thank you so much, Elmer, for streaming. That was the first match of the season. That was a fun one to watch, despite it being a bit one-sided at times. But both teams had a very impressive showing today, showing they'll fight. I think both teams will see fighting for wins in D3. I think UB has a shoe in for the title right now. Xase, this was an unlucky match for them, definitely, but I don't think it's over for them yet. I think they can scrap together a playoffs appearance, and who knows after they do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Would just like to thank everybody for coming through and watching this prime time at night. Interesting to start off the season with a prime time at night, but do appreciate the cast and crew for getting this all set up. Thank you for the streamers for providing their POVs. Top Hat, thank you for being here and casting. Was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And another thing before we go, I see Yoshi Sky Blue asking, is any of the next match on primetime? None of the matches tonight are on primetime. However, there will be another match tomorrow at 23 European time, 5 p.m. EST, Solar Storm versus Cook. I'm on Solar Storm, so I'm a bit biased there, but we've played probably 5 times in the past month, and every single one has been within 10 points. So it should be a good match. If you're available at 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, you should tune in for that one.
Yeah, definitely going to be a close match in Division 4. Can't speak, have played against both Solar Storm and Cook. Definitely a lot of talent on both rosters, but thank you guys for coming through to the stream tonight. Take care and hopefully see some of you tomorrow for the primetime match. Good luck to everybody else as well in MKU tomorrow who is playing. So, thanks again.